Om Bhaja Govindam chanting verses 21 to 25.
पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे रथ्याचर्पटविरचितग्रन्थः पुण्या पुण्यविवर्जितपन्थः योगी योगनियोजितचित्तो रमते बालोन्मत्तवदेव कस्त्वं कोऽहं कुतायातः कामे जननी को मे तातः इति परिभावय सर्वमसारं विश्वं त्यक्त्वा स्वप्नविचारम् त्वयि मयि चान्यत्रैको विष्णुः व्यर्थं कुप्यसि मय्यसहिष्णुः भवसमचित्तः सर्वत्र त्वं वाञ्छस्य चिराद्यदि विष्णु त्वम् शत्रौ मित्रे पुत्रे बन्धौ मा कुरु यत्नं विग्रहसन्धौ सर्वस्मिन्नपि पश्यात्मानं सर्वत्रोत्सृज भेदाज्ञानम्
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करमावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति. This man of perfection is described these three words. In this verse, he is only using two words, Bhalavat and Unmattavat. These are the two words he is using. But traditionally, he is also referred to with Pishashavat. Now, Bhalavat, that word Vat is very important here. The suffix Vat is very critical. Otherwise, you will misunderstand the whole thing. He is like a child. He is like a madman. He is like a ghost. So this idea of he is like a child, we say, what we refer to is these two dimensions. The innocence with which he lives. The innocence that we understand of a child has a backdrop of ignorance. The child is ignorantly innocent. He is wisely innocent. The background for his innocence is wisdom. That's what in Zen Buddhism they say. What is spiritual growth? Spiritual growth is moving from innocence to innocence. What is spiritual growth? It's just movement from innocence to another type of innocence. The innocence of a child is corruptible. It is possible to corrupt it. You can easily distort it. You can lose it. The moment the child starts knowing things, it loses its innocence anymore. Whereas this enlightened person is so innocent. But don't think he is ignorant. Our problem is the moment we say innocence, we understand innocence only as a person who is ignorant. No, he is so wise, he is so knowledgeable. That's what they say. He is Sarvajna Sarvavit, says the Upanishads. He is Sarvajna. Also, he is Sarvavit. He has that complete knowledge of everything. But still, you can see a childlike innocence in his being. More than intelligence. When you go closer to him, more than his intelligence, what would be most attractive about him is that innocence. Childlike innocence will be there. That is why he is called, he is known as, he is like a child. Say, like a child. So innocent he is. Same way, you say he is like a madman also. Now, madman means a mad person is one who has no ego. He doesn't carry that ego, a mad person, because he doesn't remember who he is. Now, all your ego you are carrying is because you remember who you are. You forget who you are, what will happen? I am a managing director of a company, because you remember it. Imagine you meet with an accident, amnesia, you forget. Where is the managing director ego in you? You know how knowledgeable I am? What is it, sir? Memory. You remember that all the knowledge. Imagine you forget all the knowledge. What will happen to your ego associated with that? You know how rich I am? All this is what? Memory. Your knowledge, your position, your status, power. All this is nothing but the memory you have. You lose that memory, you lose that ego. Because your ego stands on the memory of yours. So, a madman is one who has forgotten. He has lost his memory. Therefore, he had lost his ego also. Similarly, this spiritually enlightened, that enlightened being, has lost his memory also. What? There is no ego in him. There's no memory in him. He functions spontaneously. That spontaneity with which he operates is very different. He doesn't operate on his memory. Now, we operate on our memory. This madman has forgotten all that. He doesn't know. He doesn't remember. That's why he is mad. A mad person. And I said, Unmattavat means that the man who has forgotten his memory. That's the meaning of Unmattavat. Also, there is another interesting dimension of a mad person. If you were to have a conversation with a madman, more or less you can hold the conversation with them. There will not be any issue. You see, more or less they will look very normal. They'll come, they'll ask you questions, give answer to them. You ask question, they give answer. Things and all will be happening. Suddenly they will take off to somewhere else. Suddenly they'll switch over to something. Suddenly they will start talking about few things which you can't understand. What is he talking? As he is speaking, suddenly he will say that, oh, there's been a real problem, man, with this fellow. I don't know, he's been after me. What? He wants to meet me. I don't know. How many times I told him, I'm busy, man. I can't meet you. I have other things to do. So I don't have time. This guy keeps on calling me, every day, asking for appointment. Who is calling? Einstein. Einstein had been calling me. Now you can't tell him, he's from where he is calling, how he is calling, and he genuinely believes he's calling. He genuinely talks. See, this is called madness. This is called unmattavat. Unmattan means that in the mad fellow. Means he doesn't understand what is he talking. Similarly, he also will be functioning with you and me as though he is so normal, so casual. Transactions are all very, very simple and direct here. You can deal with it. You can easily understand. He will talk to you. He will discuss with you. He will dine with you. He will wine with you. You may do anything. He will do all those things. Suddenly, you would see him switching over to a particular frequency to which you can never get an access. You can never have an access to that frequency. Now you can't understand also that. What is that frequency? You can't understand it. These things you can recognize only when you move with a man like that. When you are not having that experience, you can't understand what I'm speaking. It will be just standing as a theory only for you. It will just stand as an idea. That's all. Okay, Unmattavat means that. He is also. You can't understand what I'm saying actually speaking. I won't blame you. Unless you have moved with someone like that. Unless you had an experience of, moving with someone with a spiritual evolution, an evolved soul, you cannot understand. There's a childlike innocence in them. You can't understand that. You just understand the words, Yeah, childlike innocence, correct. But what do you understand in that innocence? You just can't relate. Similarly, you say he is like a madman. You just can't understand even when I'm explaining. See, even when I'm explaining, it will appear as though I have explained it to you. But if you carefully analyze, what do you mean he goes off to somewhere else? You mean to say he will suddenly switch over to something? Suddenly he will disintegrate in front of my eyes. Suddenly will he take me to, like in the movie, Baba, the Rajinikanth movie, or this, Harry Potter, like, you open the door, suddenly you are in some other world. Like, that's all. That is real madness. That is not Unmattavat. That is Unmattan. That is called a madman. Don't consider those madness to be spiritual, please. We will take these madness to be spiritual. Suddenly he will start flying, he'll fly. Suddenly he will, start doing, weird things. You just can't understand what I'm speaking. I won't blame you people. That's why when it goes beyond a point, philosophy, when it flies, very difficult to fly along with it. So long as we are discussing something, transactional, worldly, okay, and all that will look fine. But the moment he switches over to something, it's almost impossible to relate to. It's like this. You got to see that. Only when you see it, you can understand. Otherwise, it's not possible. You feel that presence. You see, very rare to get that. Now that doesn't mean wherever you feel is like, most of the time it's all your imaginary concoctions. Don't fall for those things, please. I'm saying, talking about a genuinely the fellow, he will be with you. But if you closely observe him, that is why all these gods, Shiva, particularly Shiva's pictures, if you see, you know, his eyes will be half closed, half open. You see that? It's not fully closed, nor it is fully open. It is half closed, half open. Half personality of Shiva you can see. You can transact, he can transact with you. Another half of it you can't. What is happening in them you would not know. You look into the eyes, you would know, they say. For man, he would appear as though he's looking at you. That's why the pictures of, Ramana is very popular for his eyes. But, that doesn't mean only Ramana. You take the picture of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you can't even see his eyes there. You see, those things are more of a physical features. Remember, we take, immediately the physical features to be spiritual. Now, that's not what is referred, please. You see, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that's why I prefer Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's pictures. Because there's nothing attractive about it. Vivekananda, very attractive pictures. You see, not Photoshop. You see, I'm not talking about Photoshop. 2 years back, we had this Guru Purnima lectures, prepared invitation, and I saw the picture. First thought of mine is who's doing that lecture? And they said, that's your picture. I said, oh, do I look like this? I said, I've been looking at my face in the mirror every day. Never I have seen my face like this. Suddenly it looks, so all Photoshop, please. You see, don't go by this Photoshop, camera. When you see that man, you understand he is with you. At the same time, he is not with you. What do you understand there? He is somewhere, he is. Same thing as a mad person. Madman is one who is in front of you, who transacts with you, more or less, but he is in his own world. He is talking to somebody, he is dining with someone who he lives in a different world. Same way, these enlightened masters, they appear to be living with us, but they are not of this world at all. They are not in this world at all. They are in their own world, to which we have no access. What is that, sir? Now we have an access towards the waking world. The waking world transactions we have. But he has an access to the fourth plane of consciousness. That fourth plane of consciousness we don't have an access. See, that's what he means by saying, Unmattavat. He is like a madman. Unmattavat means that. The other one I referred is this Pishashavat. Now, this Pishashavat is like a ghost. Ghost in the sense, the presence of a ghost, even a thought of a ghost, you get scared, isn't it? Ghost means what? Fearful. Now, the presence of this man will create a subtle fear in you. See, that's how we identify. These are the indications. See, he is, when you fuse that childlike innocence and ghost, you get totally lost. When you read them independently, there is no problem. But when you see, when there is someone who is so innocent, will you get attracted towards them or not? When someone who is not having ego, will you get attracted towards them or not? Yes. At the same time, you say what? He's like ghost also. Ghost means what, sir? Inflicting fear. His presence will inflict fear in you. You will feel a sense of discomfort in his presence. If you are so comfortable in his presence, means what? You are oblivious to him, actually. Only then you can be so comfortable in his presence. So when people come and say, oh, I was so happy, I just want to be in his presence all the time. That means what? They are oblivious to him. That is why a dead master is more popular than a live master. When a master dies, they become very popular. That's a law of master. No spiritual guru in the world till date had been so popular. Shankara became popular after his death, not during his lifetime. Mahavira became popular after. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa became popular after. Ramana Maharishi became popular after, not during his time. You look at all this, there are few videos we have in the YouTube. Look at it. How many people are sitting around him? You can count them. Maximum 30, 40. If 70, 80 people come means they would say it's a crowd. 70 people come to this ashram means it's a crowd. Too many people have come today. There's a gate crash, they will say. Now, that's not the way it is. You see, when he is there. But today you go and see Tiruvannamalai, per day visitors numbers is more than few hundreds per day. Number of visits. Why is that? He is no longer there. Therefore, he becomes more popular. That's how life is. That's how it is. See, why is that? You, in his presence, you will get scared. There is a subtle disturbance comes into picture. That's why we avoid. We avoid those people. Why we stay away from them, sir? One side, they are so attractive like magnet. On the other side, they throw you out. These two forces, the centrifugal force and the centripetal force, they say. There are two forces operating this, like that. One pulls you inside, one pushes you outside. Like that. These two things, works together in them. You go closer, you get scared. You stay away, they are more attractive. From a distance, they are very attractive. Closer is very uncomfortable. They inflict fear, actually. Similarly, they inflict fear, but they don't have any fear. Remember, they are fearless. A ghost never gets a fear. Why? He's already dead. What else can happen? See, you are so worried about corona. Why? You may die, correct? Now, ghost will never get worried about coronavirus. Why, sir? He's already dead. Now, what more is there? That's why they say, I can never be defeated, he says. Why? Because I am already defeated. Now, there is no way that you can defeat a person who was already defeated. What is that? Fearlessness. He is fearless, but inflicts fear. The ghost moves alone, isn't it? The ghosts, they move alone, they say. There's no congregation of ghosts. They don't move in herds. Ghosts are all alone. They have moved alone. Similarly, you don't get the spiritual enlightened masters in dozens. In one generation, you get one person, you are lucky. That generation is lucky. You don't get them. There will be only one enlightened soul, almost like it's like a curse, as it were. There will be one person, that's it. You can't have, they don't go in groups. You don't get 30, 40 fellows are there. That's why people ask me, there are so many gurus, how to select? I said, where there are so many? There are so many speakers, we can say, correct. There are not so many enlightened masters. You don't get them in numbers. You get, to have, two enlightened masters parallelly living is something unbelievable feature to happen. Because we don't know what is enlightenment. That's why the problem is. That's why we think there are so many enlightened people. Now you think, there are people who believe I am enlightened. You know, it cannot be more delusive than that. The height of delusion. You say, I am enlightened. They believe it. I'm not saying. We will believe. Oh, you enlightened. That's why I tell them, don't call me Guruji, please. There is a sanctity to that word. Still there are you get annoyed with me. Say, no, no, no. To us you are. I say, stop it. Enlightenment is not such an easy thing to happen. We will not get them in numbers. These are the clues we get. How do you identify, sir? These are certain clues we get. You don't find it so difficult, so rare to identify. It's not easy to recognize, a person. Now, we are not talking about recognition here. Remember, we are talking about availability. Then comes recognition. You see, that availability will not be there. That's all. It's like how many limousines you have seen in India. How many Maruti you would have seen? How many Mercedes you would have seen? How many BMW you would have seen? Ferrari, Rolls Royce. Then you would know immediately. You see, these fellows are like limousines. You don't find them. They will not be available in the market. Then comes your recognition. Then if 4 cars were to go, for you to recognize which car is what. You see, there are people who say, no, because, one person sent, Rolls Royce here, not for me, to pick up Swamiji from the airport. So he sent this Rolls Royce. So the Rolls Royce came, I had to go. After that, my value in the apartments have raised a lot. People have started looking at me like, wow, Rolls Royce is coming to pick you. They thought it has come to pick me up. I didn't tell them. I said, yeah, of course, I have a program, so he has come to pick me. So they're sitting, royally there, and one fellow has taken the picture. And it was sent to one of our, relative. And they didn't even understand what is it. So she sent me a message back asking, what is this about? I'm sitting in Rolls Royce and you can see the symbol. That angle you can clearly make out. It's Rolls Royce. That person doesn't know what is Rolls Royce. Now, even if I tell them, this is Rolls Royce, even if I say, okay, so they will not even understand what does it mean. What is that car? Yeah, why that car looks so funny, says. Because if you don't understand means that car, from a distance, your Audi car will look far more, polished. Rolls Royce doesn't look polished for him. He says Audi car looks more polished. Says, what to do? You can't recognize. You see, in cars itself, you are not able to recognize the difference. The subtler the things they go, difficult to recognize. You see, same way, enlightened masters to recognize. You need that subtlety. When you have that subtlety in you, they give that certain clues for us to pick up. So availability and your recognition. Now, there are two different aspects to it. First, they will not be available. Why, sir? They are like ghosts. You don't get them in, hundreds and thousands, are not possible. One or two you get, you are so lucky. And obviously, every one of us will say what immediately? My person is that enlightened. My person is that enlightened. My person is that enlightened. That's all. Full stop. That's how people say, Ishwaran is enlightened also. Why? Because you know only me. Therefore, you will say, well, that's the best car. Exactly like that, my cousin who's asking, what about this car? Nothing great. Maruti car looks much better. For him, Ciaz is much better than Rolls Royce. Because Ciaz looks, same size, you're saying. It looks, same size as Ciaz, he says. I said, yeah, correct. More or less it's the same size. Kunjona difference. A little difference will be there, that's all. Otherwise, it's the same car. No differences. Can't recognize. Why? They don't come in numbers, please. One or two you will get. Yeah. So, Bhalon Mattavat, he says. Verse 22, 23. Kastvam koham kuta ayatah kame janani kome datah iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishwam tyaktva swapnavikam. Swapna vicharam. Sorry. Who are you? Who am I? From where have I come? Who is my mother? Who is my father? Thus inquire, having renounced the entire world as a senseless, born of imagination. Vishwam tyaktva swapna vichar. The dream projection. Just, born of imagination. I have told you people, in the scriptures, there are verses which are designed for explanation. There are verses designed for reflection. Right? There is nothing much I have to do in terms of this verse, because each one of you have to do it on your own. Now, don't say immediately, who is my father, who is my mother? Of course, Ramakrishnan, father. Who is mother? Bharati. Next. The mother, from where have I come? Who am I? Of course, Ishwaran. From where I have come? Chennai. From where have you come, sir? Chennai. Problem solved. Who are you? Na kelvi. What are you asking? Who are you? Yes. The inquiry into what is your real nature. What is this? This body. Now, if you analyze the body is made up of what? Various cells. You study the cells, every cell has a molecule. A molecule analyze atom and then subatomic. Now, where are you then? Are you the subatomic particle? Or the collection of those subatomic particles which made that particular cell, particular atom? Because that atom is different from this atom. Now, you can't say both are same. Because this cell is different from that cell. So, what are you? So long as you don't think, there is no problem. You start thinking, you get totally confused. Hey, what is this, man? A body itself you take. First of all, who said you are that body, first of all? Even if the body were to be containing all these things, who said you are that? If you say body is me, then the question I would ask is, when a person dies, why are you crying? Body is there, no? Isn't it? Till the body naturally disintegrates, you should say what? He is there or she is there. Isn't it? After the body's disappearance, only you should say they are gone. He is gone. She is gone. So long as body is lying there, how can you say he is not there? Why have you left me? Why have you left me? You cry, no. Why do you do that? Which means what? According to you, body is not the person. Then what are you? What is he? Who is he then? Then it's not the body. Since if it is not the body, then whatever happens to the body, who cares? Huh? So what? There is a body is a beautiful mechanism. That's what we call as Annamaya Kosha. What is your body is made up of what? Annamaya Kosha. Whatever you eat becomes your body. That's it. That's why it is referred as Annamaya Kosha. Okay, so what? So body is made up of so many cells and there are so many chemicals in that. There is so much of chemical reactions happening within the body. Okay, all that happens in the body level. But what is that got to do with you? That's how the inquiry starts. It says, what is this is made up of? That's a tremendous confusion we have in life. To know what are we? What is that I am them now? You see, unintelligent identification. How the whole confusion has come in, sir? Because of your identification with the body. See, it's like this. You go for a drama. Okay. In the drama, first day you go, there's a hero, there's a heroine. Like you watch this movie, Rajinikanth movie you watch. First movie you watch. In that movie, hero, heroine. Rajinikanth hero. Who is Rajinikanth's wife? Srividya. Okay, very good. Suddenly, I cut that movie and start playing Talabadi, another movie. Now what happens, sir? Rajinikanth is hero. His mother is Srividya. You know that? Fascinating actress she is. She acted as his wife. She has acted as his sister, Srividya. In another movie, Srividya is mother-in-law for Rajinikanth. In another movie, she is mother for Rajinikanth. Wife, sister, mother-in-law, mother. I think next movie, grandmother maybe. Rajinikanth is hero right through. Now my question to you is, what is the relationship between Rajinikanth and Srividya? What is the connection? What is she to him? Sister? Wife? Mother-in-law? Mother? What is your answer? Sir, there is no connection, sir. Please. They are just acting, isn't it? It is just a character. The actor is different from the character. We understand the difference, isn't it? They are not the same. The characters will vary, but the actor will remain the same. The actor is same. That actor is different from the characters. Suppose if you take that actor to be the character, because I couldn't believe, first time in my life, I've heard about this name. You know, how I got that name was because of Shivaji Ganesan. Shivaji Ganesan used to keep on referring this man's name. You know, Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier. He has referred his name many times. He says, I've learned acting skills, a lot of things from watching Laurence Olivier, he says. Shivaji Ganesan. So I've heard his name. That's about it. I've never seen who is he, what is he, all that. First time when I went to the academy, they were playing, you know, this movie, Othello. Othello movie was there. In that movie, it is Laurence Olivier's version. I saw. And then, of course, I came back. After that, I didn't pay much attention to it. I just saw that. I said, oh, this is Laurence Olivier. I left it. After that, when I joined the academy, we had this movie, Hamlet. Then I saw that movie, Richard III. Again, same Laurence Olivier. Hamlet, Laurence Olivier. Othello, Laurence Olivier. I said, I was under the impression Laurence Olivier is black. Because I saw that movie, Othello. So, if I had stopped at that movie, Othello, if I wouldn't have known who is Laurence Olivier, I would have been carrying the belief what? Laurence Olivier is black. Right? Because the way he has presented himself in that movie, it's impossible to believe that he is not. Like more means he is exactly like that in that movie. Of course, it's a drama been, you know, made into a movie. But you come to this Hamlet, he's totally different. I couldn't believe that actually. I said, my God, is this that fellow? So that entire body language to that expressions and the presentations, the dialogue delivery, everything is different. Then I understood, correct. I said, if Shivaji Ganesan has to learn from this fellow, how great he must be. You can understand. You say, he was admiring him means, you know, it must be not just a casual, you know, for, you know, interview purpose. You know, they will ask, interview, do you like him? They'll say, of course, yeah, he's a great actor. They say, a gem of a person. All that we will say in the interview. See, not that, you know, internally you carry that. Not necessarily. Same way. This man says is so great. Can't believe it. Why, sir? There are two different personalities. The characters are two, but the actor is same. In fact, Mr. Laurence Olivier has got nothing to do with either Othello or Hamlet, Richard III. He has no characteristics of any one of them. He doesn't carry, he doesn't encounter, he is not that at all, any one of that. Why, sir? The roles that is played by the actor is different. The actor is different. Similarly, right now, I am in this embodiment playing this role. That's it. This has got nothing to do with me. Who will understand that? How do you get that understanding? If you get that understanding and ability to segregate these two things, the character is different, the actor is different. That viveka needs a vicharam, that inquiry. How do you do that inquiry? That's what he is giving here. Start this inquiry from who are you? Who are you, man? He's asking. Who am I? From where have I come? Who is my mother? A mother is who? I call this is my mother, this is my father. Why? They are mother and father to who? Not to me. The father and mother is to this body. That's all. This body got created from their body. It has got nothing to do with them also. Those two bodies created this body. That's all. So it's just a body to body, connection. Full stop. There's nothing more than that. Therefore, he says, what you should do, sir? Do that inquiry. Now, he says, if you do that inquiry, what you will understand? He himself is doing it for us also. Thus inquire. To what, sir? You will come to this recognition. What? The self-inquiry will bring you to a staggering truth. What? The whole thing that you are experiencing now is a figment of your imagination. Is pulling the carpet under your feet. Even now, I couldn't believe it. Many times when we go through, is this really true? You wake up and see, is this really true? What we are going through? Is this a reality? We take it for granted. Yeah, it is real. Who says? That's the best part. Who says the world is real? Can't you see? Oh, correct. Can't you hear? Of course. Can't you see? Can't you hear? Can't you taste? Can't you touch? Correct. What is this, sir? On what basis? On the basis of your senses reporting to you. And what is interesting, sir? The senses are made up of what? The 5 elements. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Combination is your body. What is the world made up of? Space, air, fire, water, earth. So, elements vouching for the existence of the elements. What a fantastic inquiry that is. Will you take that as a witness? Huh? Can you come to a judgment? Based on what, sir? The victim's claims. Isn't it enough? Victim says what? He is the one who came to kill me. Isn't that enough? Why? I am telling you, no. Will you come to judgment on that basis? Can a judge pronounce judgments based on the victims? Why? He said, no. You are the party involved in this. Witness always means what? The person who has to be outside, not inside. That's why even a policeman comes and says is not considered as a witness. Why is that? He is party to arresting. So not accepted. Why? You can't. Here, senses are made up of the same 5 elements. This elements is proving the existence of the other elements. So earth is saying earth is existing. Air is saying air is existing. Water is saying water is existing. Fire is saying fire is existing. You see a circle. This is argument in circle. Someone other than this five should stand outside and say, yes, they exist. Yes, it is true. Do you have anything like that? That's why philosophy you start, it's very tough. So long as we are not discussing philosophy, Vedanta will look very, very interesting. You see, you have to handle your stress, your problems, how to handle my wife, how to handle my child, how to handle my mother-in-law, how to handle my neighbor, how to handle this. Is, what is that? What is this? All this will look, very interesting. You start philosophy, you will get bored. What are we doing? That's what in Mandukya Upanishad he does. Mandukya Karika, Gaudapada, is a beautiful analysis. The dream analysis is fantastic in that. There is the waking world is also as much as exactly like the dream world. There is no reality to it. Now, beautiful arguments he gives. All that he says is this. He says there, his argument is only this. Follow this argument carefully. If you believe, every word is important here. If you believe the dream that you had yesterday night is not real, then you have no loco stand to believe the waking world that you are experiencing right now to be any more real. That's all. Now you talk anything. Now you say anything. Doesn't make any difference. I repeat. If you believe the dream that you had yesterday night is not real, then you have no loco stand to believe that the waking experience of yours to be any more real. Waking experience. Right now, I am listening to you. I am talking to you. Real. Exactly the same thing is what you said in the dream when you were in the dream. Isn't it? The dreamer in the dream said what? The same thing. Isn't it? In the dream, you were to attend the Vedanta class. To that dreamer who attended that Vedanta class was real. Same thing is what you are saying now also. In the waking world, as a waker, you are experiencing the waking Vedanta class and you claim this Vedanta class is real. Bhajagovindam class is very real. If you say that is not real, this also cannot be real. Sir, this Vedanta class, not only me attending, sir, there are about 60-70 people attending the class along with me. This is exactly what the dreamer also said in the dream. What? Along with me, there are 60 people attending the Vedanta class also in the dream. Do you say a dream is real because of that? Then what is it, sir? Imagination is essenceless. You have never made any inquiry. That's all. All that it means is what? You have just taken this experience for granted. Whatever experience that comes to you, you start believing in that experience to be real. You never probe into it. You never inquire into it. You see, because it's my experience, obviously it must be correct. Why? My experience. No? How can my experience be? This is the problem. We never probe and inquire into our experience. We never validate it. We just assume, yeah, that's how it must be. I have seen, no. So you have seen, so what? So that's what we say, sir. From where that reality comes to you, sir? Because of your imagination. Simple thing. Forget about all this inquiry or too much. It is, too high. This is. It's not very simple. Okay. Do you believe God really exists or ghost really exists? Which one you exist for you actually? Hmm? For most of us, God is a fictitious entity, but ghost is a reality. Now, there are so many YouTubes are there, you can see, proving the presence of ghost. Till date, there's not a single YouTube video we have got that God really exists. Don't say God particle, because that fellow simply named that thing as a God particle. The scientist, he has already confessed it. Why he named it, sir? Only then people will get attention to it. Otherwise, it will get dismissed as quantas. How many of you have studied about quantas? Every one of you have heard about God particle, isn't it? Huh? The scientists also these days are becoming more like a marketing fellows. You see, that is why we say research says this, research says that. I tell them, don't take the research report. Okay. Before you subscribe to that report, go one step back and ask one question. Who sponsored the research? For a fellow to do a research, he need finance, no? Who sponsored it? After that, you read the report. Without knowing who sponsored it, you read the report. After knowing who sponsored that research, you read the report. You will come to a conclusion what? The sponsor wanted to get certain reports. These fellows developed it and gave. That's all. It's just a question of who's sponsoring it. Same way, this God particle is not a, it has nothing to do with God, please. He just found something, he just named it as God particle so that everybody will get attracted to that research. And as he anticipated, everybody started discussing what he has found God, he has found God. Ghost we have belief, not on God. The fear that you get when you go to the cemetery is not the divinity that you experience when you go to temple. You don't experience. Yeah, any cemetery you go, you get scared. But divinity you experience only in that particular temple, isn't it? When a South Indian Brahmin goes to Vatican, what is it for him? When a Catholic goes to the Vatican City, what is it for him? They're two different things. Why? Which one you believe in? Why? Because you pay attention to that part. You have been believing in the reality of ghost. Therefore, the ghost is real to you. I come one step little lower also, simpler. In life, you go through very many experiences, right? Life is what's full of experiences only. Certain experiences are painful, certain experiences are pleasures, pain, joy, sorrow, all that. Joyful experiences are there, sorrowful experiences are there, and all that. Now my question to you is, which experience looks real to you? Joy or sorrow? Is joy real? Sorrow real to you? Which appears to be more real to you? The sorrow appears more real to you than joy. You say joy is there, that's okay, sir. But the problem is what? That's why everyone goes to a psychiatrist only when they have sorrow. Nobody goes to a psychiatrist saying, sir, for the last about 10 years, I've been so happy. What's wrong with me? Nobody asks. I'm so peaceful. Can you analyze my personality? Nobody asks. Nobody goes to an astrologer. The fact that you are walking to astrologer, he knows what? You are having a problem. Because when you are not having a problem, you will never go to astrologer. Or you are asking for a problem. What? Marriage. Then you say what? That's why you take your horoscope and go, no. Isn't it? Marriage, you are going for, you have to look for alliance. Then you immediately take horoscope. Why? If there is any problem comes, you go to your past or you think of your future, which is more impactful in your life? We see these people, coming for this counseling and all that. Whenever they discuss, whenever they state the sorrowful experience of theirs of the past, that could have happened about 20 years back. When they are referring that incidents, as they are speaking, they will collapse. They start crying. It's natural. Which means what? Whereas, when you refer to your joyful experience which had happened about 20 years back, what is it to you now? It's very interesting. I had a chance to meet, again, one of the student in Bangalore. He stood state first in 12th. This boy stood state first. I was teaching for them. So he had come after that, that the institute, to meet, and we had met him, and we were so happy. Now, recently, about 5-6 years back, this is about, I'm saying about 10-12 years before this happened. This fellow got it. Then after about 10 years or so, I met him in this college again. And he came and he introduced. I couldn't recognize him because I was looking after a teenager. Now he is looking like my uncle now. I was about to ask him, uncle, what are you? I said, But he came running. Said, do you remember I am, this? Oh, yeah. How are you, man? Yeah, good. How's it going? Everything is fine, sir. And then a person, another student of mine was there. So I told him, this boy, was state first in Karnataka, 12th standard, state first. He said, no, sir, it's nothing, it's big deal. He's dismissing it. I'm going on saying, repeating, this is state first, this fellow got. And that boy is not even willing to acknowledge it. Right. Imagine if I would have told, if, the very next day of his state first, they were floating in the air. After 10 years, what is that experience of? I'm talking about state first. Okay. I don't know how many of you understand. the entire state. There are about 12 lakh fellows write exam, and this fellow comes first. It's that. Oh, no. That is nothing to me, because I had that experience when I was doing 10th standard. As my classmates stood state first. So this is second experience for me. Nothing big about it. Yeah, that fellow, my friend Ramesh, he stood state first in 10th standard at that time. He's my classmate. So this is okay for me. I have seen 3 state firsts in my life. 10th and 12th state first. And gold medalists I have seen a lot. There are a lot of fellows, but state first is something unique to see. That this fellow is dismissing. Whereas, if we were to talk about his pain, what happens? Pain appears more real to you than the pleasures of life. Both are dead experiences, right? It's all past. It's gone, no. It's not that pain alone is sitting, pleasure is only disappearing. No. Pain experience also has moved, pleasure experience also has moved. You have moved away from all that. But still, to your eyes, which looks more real? Pleasure or pain? That's what he is saying here. Now, you must have the capacity to renounce, give up this senseless thinking, give up this imaginary things that you have created for yourself. Paying attention. You're paying attention only to the pain part. Therefore, the pain is appearing to be more real to you. Why this? Why this? Why this? Why this? How can this happen? Why can this happen? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Why God is so bad? Why God is so bad? You go on thinking again and again and again. Because of that, it is kept alive. That's all. Who is feeding that and keeping it alive is you. The pain itself is not keeping itself alive. You are feeding it to keep it alive. Can there be anything more stupid than that? Huh? Is there any meaning in that? This is a fellow who is digging my grave. I am supplying food for him. You eat well, man. Get strength. So that you can dig my grave bigger and faster. Is there any meaning? That's what he says. Essenceless. The world, the life that you are living has no essence. Don't say, when he says the world, the entire world, when he says, don't say the world, please. Your world. It is not the world. It is your world. Your experience. Your life. Don't say the world is essenceless. He's not saying the world is essenceless. The entire world, having renounced the entire world as essenceless, meaning you have to give up. You have to understand that life that you are experiencing is the world that you are experiencing. It's like, what do you know about Ishwaran is what? World, isn't it? Your knowledge of Ishwaran is what the world is all about for you. Correct? Your knowledge of Ishwaran is what? 1 hour. Correct? Rest of the 23 hours is what? You got to come and stay with me for 24 hours. Only then you will know how complicated it is to live with a fellow like that. Isn't it? Outside, when you look at it, it looks like. So the world, when we say, what are we referring to? Ishwaran is the world, is part of your world, correct? Means what? Is part of your experience. How? What you experience is dependent on how you take it. Remember, world presents situations. It is you who interpret it. That interpretation is your experience, is what your life is all about, is what reality to you. What is reality, sir? Reality is not what the world is presenting to you. The reality is what you interpret out of it. There lies complete freedom to us. There lies a fantastic opportunity for us to get total freedom in life. Imagine it has got nothing to do with your interpretation. Then there is no meaning in all the discussion that we are having, because freedom is never possible. You can never be free in life. Freedom is possible. Why, sir? Because world will present only situations to you. It is you who is going to interpret it. If you have the right interpretations, then it is very easy. That is liberation. You have a wrong interpretations to the situations presented by life to you is called the samsara. That's all. Samsara and nirvana, there is no difference. It's the same thing. Depends on what, sir, how you are going to interpret it. Your whole interpretation is substanceless, essenceless. Whole thing that you are seeing, believing in that reality. You believe in the reality of the pain. You believe in the reality of the ghost than the reality of God, divinity. Why? Your interpretation. Understand, it has no substance. It is a wrong interpretations. And the moment you understand that, drop it. The capacity to recognize that and the courage to give up the wrong and take in the right one is what he is referring here. Thus, inquire. Through inquiry alone, you can do this. Otherwise, you can't do it, he says. The first one we saw, very theoretical, theological analysis. Then we come to this applied analysis, application orientation, because we have been discussing that in two different angles, wherever there is a possibility to get it. So, okay. Hari Om.